Okay, today I wanted to do a tutorial on how we built our wood stove fireplace. So we have a tiny home, so we decided it'd look cute to have a tiny stove. So we bought this one. It was $100 online, and it actually does the job. It heats the house and it works well. You can cook off the top. The stove didn't have anything to go through a wall since it is a small camping stove. They don't really sell anything that has 90-degree angles. So we had to go to a muffler shop and buy a muffler. And the guy bent it in a 90-degree angle. And then outside there's another 90-degree angle. And it goes out and up past the roof of our house and has a chimney. And also the wall thimble, we had to get a pellet stove metal front and back because the hole is 3 inches and the regular holes are 6 inches for regular stoves. So we got a damper, and had to add that into our stove. So those are things we had to do to just kind of make this one work, and it actually works awesome. We use it, it doesn't get too hot out here, and it cooks and heats the house, so it does its job, and it's kind of cute and small. So we had to frame the base. So underneath this, there's a framed box, so it can sit up and be on a platform. And then the second part of framing that you're gonna have to do, if you're going through the wall like we did, the wall thimble, because this is a thimble that connects to the outside. We had a beam going down this wall. We had to cut out this stud, framing a window for this wall thimble to go through. And you have to make sure that this window is wide enough so the framing doesn't touch the metal wall thimble. You don't want the hot heat transferring into wood and causing a fire. So we made it extra wide with the wood so we could cement and have a window pretty much for this wall thimble. So we used a cement sheetrock. So it's made out of concrete kind of mixture. So it's not your regular sheetrock. It's made out of cement. And we sheetrocked the platform, and wherever the stone was going to be cemented into has sheetrock. So you got to make sure that the regulation says that it has to be 18 inches away from a flammable wall or anything flammable. That's the code. So make sure that when you frame everything that the stove is going to be 18 inches away from, a flammable wall or sheetrock. Okay, so step 3, you're going to want to build up your walls. You want to build those up next to the cement sheetrock. We built as we progressed, but you just want to make sure you have the walls built up before you're doing cement, because you want these to cover the walls. You don't want to have to cut the boards exactly the same shape as the rock. Okay, so step 4 is fire caulking. This you buy at Home Depot. It's red, and it's like a heat retardant, so it stops the spread of heat, and you're using that in all your seams and cracks. So wherever the sheetrock meets other pieces, or where your wood and the sheetrock are meeting and there's cracks, you're gonna want to run a line of caulking, and you also want to put it on the where you're screwing in your sheetrock. So the heads of the screws, that has metal, and metal will conduct heat back into the wood. So anything that can get to your wood and bring heat to it, you want to put fire caulking on. Concrete was a big deal because we thought it was going to get really hot, so it stressed us out because we thought things would crack or temperature change, but it turns out this doesn't get too hot. It actually just warms up a little bit, so you can use pretty much any concrete you want. We used industrial quickcrete, and you can buy it at Home Depot, and it says it's good up to 300 degrees or almost 400 degrees. And what you do is you mix it. There's instructions on how to mix it. There's, as much as you add water, you got to add concrete, and you can make it more watery, or it can be more grainy. It just depends how you like it. We liked it a little bit more watery, but not like where it's dripping. So you can make it pliable and stuff. And so what we did is we just took these bricks and you put concrete in between them, and on the bottom where you concrete it, and you hammer them in with a rubber mallet, and just you set it all in place as you go. So then second was to put the top on, and for the top we concreted a layer of tile first, just so it sat more level, you know, because we were a little bit shallow in our framing, so we used tile just to make it flush for the stones to sit on. And then we took all the stones we had and we went out into the driveway, and we made a platform in the driveway with the same measurements as we framed here, so we could just take them from the driveway and we could bring them here, and we wouldn't concrete it and try to make things fit all at last minute. We made sure that it had the design before, and then we concreted the top, and then we laid the stones on and set them with the mallet. So the next step is you're starting the wall. So these, we use the same type of quartz rock, but as you can see, they're smaller. So we had a big stone out in the driveway and we took these rocks and just smashed it on top of the big stone and broke them into a bunch of little pieces. And then what we did was we pretty much went one row at a time. So we would grab rocks and we would set them in place, kind of without anything, as they were dry, and just made them like a jigsaw puzzle. You kind of fit in what looks good. And so we did the first row and made sure it looked nice, and then you mix the concrete again, and you come in here. A good suggestion is we put some plastic garbage bags on top of the hearth, just because when you're mixing the cement and you're putting cement on rocks, it spills a lot, and you don't want to get too much concrete on top of this because it dries and it leaves residue. So we tried to cover this as best we could, and then we would cement each rock at a time. So you pretty much dip the rock in water and make sure it's wet, and then we put the mixed concrete on the back and on the top, and then we'd set it into the wall and hammer it with a mallet, and then we would just move on down the line. And then once that was in place, we would take up the plastic garbage bag and we kind of clean the hearth, clean all the concrete and all the dust and stuff, and then you'd let it sit for a day and settle. So it takes a while, but we let it sit for a day, sometimes 2 days. Then, you know, you're on your next level and you do the same thing over again. And then you do it and you just kind of climb each day, or every 2 days you kind of climb up the wall with rocks. Okay, step 7 is the wooden mantle. So before you get there, you got to make sure these walls, when you're coming up and getting close, you want to make sure that you don't cement where the mantle is going to be. So when you get kind of yay high, you want to make sure you got the mantle started. About a 5x5 board, and cut it in half, and then stained it, and then used the 45-degree angles as a support. And then when you put the mantle in, you can screw into the beams. You can use supports like we did, and make sure that it's sturdy, and you can, you know, it's not going to fall off the wall. Right, so step 8 is going through the wall. This is getting touched with direct heat, so you have to get refractory cement, and you can buy that. We bought it at True Value. It's kind of hard to find, or you can order online, but it's made to build fireplaces, so it can withstand like 2,000 degrees. So it's a very high temperature cement, and so we use that for all this area, for this side and the outside behind the cabin. So when you're going through the wall, we already talked about having it framed. We framed a window, so a 13 by 13 inch wall thimble can be put in. So a wall thimble is this piece and a metal piece on the other side, and then there's an insulated pipe that covers this pipe. And the insulation and the two metal pieces are supposed to keep the heat from touching the wood. We cemented that in as well, and then you can put your pipe in, and then we just cemented rocks with the refractory cement around the pipe because we thought it looked cool, and we did it around the concrete or the cement sheetrock. I just want to add some last words about the fireplace. The reason why ours is kind of so glossy and shiny is you have to really make sure you clean as you go. So when you're cementing each layer, like I said, you have to wash it with the sponge and make sure you get all that residue because it dries off and makes it kind of gray and faded. And then you want to make sure you go through the lines and make all these smooth as you're building. And then at the end, when everything's done and clean and swept, we went over it with a layer of Thompson's multi-surface waterproofing, and it's the one it's not for wood, it's for also concrete and rock, and so you can use it for multi-surface. And we just went over with a layer of that, and it really brought out some luster of the rock. Okay, well, I hope this helped you guys, and fireplace or wood stove place seems daunting, so I hope this made it seem more realistic and easy to do.